Hello ladies and gents, it is Andrew here from IDB. We got a ton of great feedback when we featured the Zhiyun Smooth C Gimbal earlier this year. Well, here they are with a new beefed up second generation Smooth 2 gimbal, and there are a ton of great new features. We're going to walk through everything and including some test footage at the end of this video so you can see the difference that it actually makes. In the box you'll find the gimbal itself, battery, a counterweight, and a charging cable. On the bottom of the unit, this is all machined aluminum here, and on the bottom is an actual 1/4 inch thread that you can use to mount your gimbal to a tripod. So you can actually attach your phone to this and use it for any time-lapse type videos you may want to do. On the side is a micro USB port. You now can charge it just directly in here without having to take the batteries out, which is a huge improvement. On the top is a LED and a joystick to actually control the gimbal and switch modes and tell if it's actually on. You do have a shutter/power button, and on the bottom here, this is just a little shifter so you can change the different modes of the camera as well as zoom in and out. Another huge improvement over the last generation is the actual phone mount itself. It is now metal, no longer is it that kind of crappy plastic one that seemed so much of an afterthought. You can adjust the weight of this or the kind of orientation of this by loosening that little toggle screw and moving this up and down based on the size of your phone so that you can make sure it fits. It is still stretchy, which is not my favorite type of mount for phones, but it does get the job done and it is an improvement over what they had in the last generation. Because it does stretch, it will fit a variety of phones all the way up to screen size of 7 inches. That's absolutely ginormous. It works great on the iPhone 7 and the 7 Plus. If you do have a screen size over 5.5 inches, there is a counterweight included, so you do need to use that if you have a larger phone, though unfortunately it still makes it hard to completely close the gimbal flat if you have that counterweight attached, so you may have to remove it before travel. The second generation is also Bluetooth equipped, and it comes with an accompanying app. The app is easy to use. You can update the Bluetooth and the firmware of the gimbal, enable face tracking, and change some basic settings on your camera. So inverting the axes and turning on GPS tagging are just a few of the options you have here, but of course you can still use the standard camera app if you don't want to use the application itself. On the left-hand side, other than settings on the top, you can switch the camera orientation, so the front-facing shooter or the back-facing camera. On the bottom left, you have the options for the flash. Of course, you can change all of that. In the top right-hand corner is where it has you attached to your Smooth C gimbal or the Smooth 2 gimbal over Bluetooth. Bottom right is the actual library, showing you all the photos and videos you've taken with your gimbal. Then, of course, you do have the shutter button, but because it's Bluetooth enabled, there's actually a shutter button on the gimbal itself. So let's look at the controls. First up is this little shifter here. If I push it all the way forward and hold, it'll actually change from the front-facing camera to the back. And again, if I do it once more, it'll switch in the opposite direction. So just changing which camera you'll use. Holding it down to the bottom will allow you to change from video mode to photo mode or vice versa. So pulling it back changes modes, and then just moving it up and down gradually and not holding will allow you to zoom in. So use digital zoom on both the photos or the video. So really nice options here. You don't ever have to touch the screen of your phone, which makes it a lot easier to get steady shots and steady video. One thing that is still a little bit difficult to ascertain is which mode you're currently in. There are 3 different modes: pan and tilt following mode, pan following mode, and absolute locking mode. So let's go ahead and look at those right now. First up is just follow mode. It will allow it both to pan and tilt with your arm. So wherever I move this left, right, up, down, I tilt, I twirl, whatever I do, the camera will slowly and evenly move with me, making a very easy shot. So if you're moving your subject around, you can easily follow, and this is the perfect mode for that. Next, we have pan following mode. That means your camera will not roll up and down at all, but as I move my phone or my arm left and right, up, down, the camera will face more or less the same direction, but it will pan with my arm, but it will not change the orientation. It'll still not roll or anything. It'll just keep it at that same spot, but allow it to pan with my arm. And then lastly, after those two follow modes, we have absolute locking mode. No matter where I move here, up, down, left, right, twist, twirl, whatever, it's going to keep the camera in the exact same spot. So it's going to be locking onto that target. So if I'm on something bumpy, it's just going to keep that orientation no matter where my arm tries to move. So this is a really useful one if you have a subject that is moving or is not moving and you are. Now, depending on the mode you are in, you can actually use the joystick to adjust that. So if I'm in locked mode and none of it is moving, I can manually adjust that and tilt up and down, left and right, and even kind of the orientation, the rotation of the phone itself. So there's lots of different modes that you can use the joystick to control. I am just very surprised at how many great improvements there are in the Smooth 2 gimbal compared to the original one. It does have a lot of great benefits. I love the app. I love being able to hit the shutter button to start and stop without having to use that second hand to touch the screen and slightly moving it when I'm trying to record. And of course, the motors inside are not going to get along as well either. Now it's really straightforward what you're looking at, but on the left is of course our stabilized footage using the gimbal, and on the right is just holding in the hand, running down this giant corridor and turning around and coming back. It's pretty night and day on which one is which, but again, stabilized on the left with the gimbal, on the right, no gimbal, freehand. I'm trying to kind of hold it steady, but I'm also trying to be quiet at the same time as I'm running down the hallway. Really, my only problem with the Smooth 2 gimbal is some of it is still in Chinese. There's still some instructions here and there and in the app that are not exactly in English, but overall, it's pretty easy to figure out, and there are great instructions on the website, and of course, we've provided some good ones here in this video as well. If you'd like to pick one up for yourself, we've made it easy and put a link below in the description. Go ahead and subscribe so we can keep this channel going. Otherwise, until next time, this is Andrew for IDB.